checks and balances under the Constitution, and I think both sides are acting appropriately under the Constitution.
But this is a potential nominee who, 7 sitting Republican senators, backed back in 1997 and are still sitting on Capitol Hill today, including Senator Orrin Hatch. Does that not make any difference to you, Congresswoman?
Well, there's a big difference, as you know, Brooke, between being nominated for a federal district court position or an appellate court position and the United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court is the last final buck stop. Those are 9 positions. They have to be carefully vetted. And just because senators support someone for a lower court position does not necessarily mean they support that position for the top slot.
Let's say, let's play the what-if game, looking down the road. If the nomination is indeed stalled until the next president is sworn in, let's say the next president is Donald Trump. Let's say Donald Trump, nominates a Supreme Court justice. Do you think that individual would be conservative enough to satisfy these Senate Republicans?
Oh, that's the speculation of all speculation. No one really knows. I think people recognize in Ted Cruz, he is the constitutional conservative candidate that's running right now. People have a lot of high confidence that he would nominate someone who would uphold the Constitution. That's the question about Donald Trump, and yet Donald Trump will be speaking to that issue, I think, even more. Both Cruz and Trump are the 2 intriguing candidates that remain on the Republican side, and I think this will be a question, Brooke, that you'll hear a lot of reporters ask both of them, because this is a very strong, high-priority issue for voters in this upcoming election.
Yes, they will, starting today and on the race for, the White House. Do you see any scenario where Donald Trump emerges with the magic delegate number, or not quite with the magic delegate number, but the most delegates, just maybe shy of that, 1237, and somehow doesn't become the nominee? How would the grassroots of the party respond to that?
That's a great question. I personally don't think that's going to happen. If Donald Trump is within striking distance of the magic number that gives him the nomination automatically, I don't think you will see a scrapping fight at the convention to take that away from him, because the people will have spoken. I do. I think it will happen. Vice versa, I think if it's Ted Cruz and he gets the requisite number of delegates are very close, I think he will get the nomination. I think it'd be too divisive within the party, just like now with Hillary Clinton. She effectively is the Democrat nominee, even though all of the juice and the energy is behind Bernie Sanders. I think there would be a meltdown if once the candidates got to the Democrat convention and the nod was given into Bernie Sanders as opposed to Hillary Clinton.
On the Republican side, let me just share an ad. I don't know if you've seen this, Congresswoman. This is by a conservative anti-Trump super PAC. Roll it.
It really doesn't matter what they write, as long as you've got a young and beautiful piece of
That must be a pretty picture. You dropping to your knees.
There was blood coming out of her eyes. Blood coming out of her wherever.
These are Trump's own words used against him. My question to you, just as a woman, are you worried that Mr. Trump will repel women, especially looking ahead, independent women, voters?
No, hardly. If you look at the voting so far, he's done very, very well with African Americans, Hispanics, women, all sorts of demographics. That's what's really, I think, astounded people, how well Donald Trump has done, because what people see in Donald Trump is a positive individual who's pledging to make the country great and to create jobs, high-paying jobs for Americans. That's what people want. And
if you support him for president, Congresswoman,
speeches,
Mr. Trump?
I haven't come out and endorsed either candidate. I think we're going to see either Trump or Cruz. Both candidates have very strong favorabilities, and I think that either one would do a very good job. But if you look at the negative speech that Hillary gave last night, she was angry and downcast, and you compare that with the positive speech that Donald Trump gave last night, there's a real sharp contrast, and I think
but what about, forgive me for interrupting, but much ado about the rhetoric on the Republican side. Final question, and even Mitch McConnell on the phone with Mr. Trump apparently saying, listen, could you disavow some of this violence happening? Why do you think Donald Trump has not done that? Would you, if you were in his shoes?
he has disavowed the violence. It's been very clear that he has, and it wasn't originated by Trump supporters. It was originated by Sanders supporters. It's really Bernie Sanders who needs to apologize and to call his supporters to stop all of this. We can't have this community organizer agitation. Somebody could get hurt very seriously. It's got to stop.
Congresswoman Michele Bachmann, thank you so much.
Absolutely, Brooke. Thanks again. Great to be with you.
Coming up next, Ohio Governor John Kasich celebrating a massive win in his home state. He says he has